can we all agree? Can we all agree that doxing minors is not okay? It is not okay. Doxing minors on your Twitter platform of over 540,000 followers is not okay. It is not okay. Can we all agree on that? So recently, and by recently I think about 2 days ago, I found out about this girl named Skai Jackson, and apparently she's a Disney star, and I didn't even knew that because I hadn't watched Disney in years. But yeah, she's a Disney star. In 2011, she was part of the cast of the Disney sitcom Jessie, and she has had multiple appearances on other shows as well since. And currently she has over 540,000 followers on Twitter, and she has over 1 million subscribers on YouTube. So yeah, she is quite popular and she's quite successful, and good for her. I am happy about that. In any other normal circumstance, I would not care that much about Skai. She's a Disney star, and I for one don't like Disney that much, so I would just let her be, right? But what she's actually doing is she's doxing minors on her Twitter who she thinks are racists. Let me give you guys some examples. I'm gonna have to censor this. She goes to blank high school in blank city. Her Instagram is blank and her Snapchat is blank. And she attaches this screenshot in it where this person says, "Okay sis, first off, why are you supporting blacks when they are literally trying to kill white people? Not my fault that the blacks are stupid. And before you say it, I'm not racist, I love black people. But if they're trying to prove their point about how Black Lives Matter, then they need to stop doing what they're doing." And this tweet has over 11,000 likes. Another example, her name is blank, her Instagram is blank, and she attaches her Twitter as well in the thread. And this tweet has over 11,000 likes. And the video clip that she attaches is this video clip.
Hello? What's up? I see dead people, nigga.
Can you imagine?
Nigga, you can...
So, yeah. Another example is this one. This girl in the front with blackface is blank, and this tweet has over 11k likes where she shows this picture of this girl in blackface, and she shows her Instagram account and then her Twitter account. He goes to blank high school in blank city. His Instagram is blank, and the video clip is just a 1-second clip of this.
Hey, nigga.
Yeah, like that's it. Also, she has gotten people wrong in the past. She has said this, "Please do not comment on his page anymore. Someone sent me the wrong Dylan. He's not the one who made the racist song." Just to clear that up. So yeah, Skai just got the wrong person there. So as I've showed you before, oftentimes the evidence that Skai uses to paint these kids as racist is just them saying the N-word. Like I've showed you before, right? There was just this 1-second clip of this kid saying the N-word. And I know that's bad. I'm not justifying that action. However, does that really justify Skai sending hundreds and thousands of hate comments for these kids? I'm pretty sure these kids receive a lot of hate. Just see how many likes these tweets get. Of course they're gonna get a lot of hate from these videos. And these examples, these are not the only ones, by the way. There are many examples of Skai doxing people. Quite a few of them are university students, but a lot of them are minors. And what she's doing is she is blasting these kids' social media accounts and their high school names and the city that they live in, therefore, on her Twitter, which has over 500,000 followers. And do you know the crazy part? A lot of her followers are actually on board with it. And they like it that she is doing this. She has received a lot of positive media attention from this. And there are also quite a few celebrities who have said that, yeah, what she's doing is great, when obviously it's not. Now, I want you guys to know this. When I am criticizing Sky here, I am not saying that these minors should not be held accountable. This is not coming from someone who thinks that, oh, just because a minor is doing a blackface, oh, that's okay. Well, we can let that go. We shouldn't hold them accountable. No, this is not coming from that perspective. I do think that these minors need to be held accountable. However, the way that you hold them accountable is the thing that I'm criticizing here. I am not saying that these minors should not be held accountable. Yes, they should be, but the way that Sky is doing it is not great. Because I don't think that it helps these kids. It doesn't help them recognize why they are wrong. And all it does is it sends hate and harassment towards these kids and leaves a permanent mark on their resume. And I can already hear someone saying that, Jean, these are racists we're talking about. We need to expose them. You're really defending racists out here? And all I have to say to that is, no. These are minors we're talking about. I hate this. I hate this so much. I hate this binary mentality of the internet. Either somebody is a racist or they are not. And if they are racist, they are as bad as Richard Spencer. You know, the guy who kept on screaming like a little girl that he can't own black people anymore. Anyways, what was the point? Yeah, we need to remember that these are minors we're talking about. They may be 16 or 17 years old. These are kids we're talking about. And their minds are very easily changed and influenced by their environment, like their parents, who might be racist. I mean, I remember how I was a transphobe while I was growing up because, well, my parents were transphobes as well. I remember how I viewed trans people. I viewed them as if they were a spectacle for the general population, the normal folk, to mock and to make fun of. I remember that. And I look at that. I look at how I viewed trans people back then, and I cringe. I cringe because I'm not that person anymore. And I think it's very common for people to grow up in conservative households and grow up believing certain things and then abandon those beliefs as they grow up and shed those beliefs and become a better person. I think that is very common. So no, these are not big bad racists that we're talking about who are just as bad as Richard Spencer or are part of the KKK or something. No, they are not. These are just kids. Now, I want to answer the question, what are the real life consequences for these kids? These kids that Sky is exposing, these are not public figures. These are more or less private individuals, like private citizens, minors. Sky is exposing private individuals here. She is not exposing public figures. Sky is the one who's the public figure here, and she is the one exposing these private individuals. If they're going to go out to find a job and the employers who are hiring decide to do a background check, like, I don't know, every other job now requires that. And because these are private individuals we're talking about and not public figures, the first thing that will come up is the fact that, oh, look, this powerful individual, this influencer, this Disney star, exposed this person as a racist on her Twitter. Do we really need this person to be working in our company knowing how it would look to future investors and stockholders. Do we really need that? That's a legit question. That is a very legit question. And because of the way that the internet is right now, that is the road we are on. And the person who is being exposed had to keep repeating again and again for the rest of their life that they were a teenager when they did that stuff, when they did the blackface or they said the N-word. Is that something that we're okay with as a society? Is that something that we're just okay with? And I have also heard Twitter arguments along the lines of, well, this public shaming might actually help these kids to not be racist anymore. And Sky just wants these kids to not be racist anymore. And public shaming might actually help with that. And to that I have to say, well, do you really need to dox these minors? Do you really need to do that? And secondly, I say, bullshit. Bullshit. Do you actually think that public shaming a teenager and getting them hundreds of thousands of hate comments and death threats is actually going to help them to see, oh, yeah, racism is wrong? Do you actually think that? This thing that Sky is doing is not going to help these kids realize that what they're doing is wrong and they should not be racist. It's not going to change their minds. However, what Sky is doing by sending this hate towards these kids might actually make them more likely to double down and move even further towards the right and become even more racist, because they would look at the other side and see that they're so fucking crazy. Look what they're doing. They're sending me death threats. They're trying to dox me. And why? Why are they doing all this? Oh yeah, because I hold different views than them. That is what they are going to think. And you know this very well. This is human nature. Publicly shaming a person doesn't actually help them change their minds. It just doesn't. Another point. This is gonna get dark. This actually assumes that they could actually handle the hate that they're getting. They could actually deal with it. But then the question is, what if they can't? What if they can't deal with the hate that they're getting? What happens then? Because these are teenagers we're talking about. So what happens when the kid can't actually deal with the hate that they're getting? What happens then? Well, this is an article in the Telegram. I found this while I was researching for this video. The title says, "Teenage girl killed herself amid fears she would be branded racist over a joke photo she sent friends," Inquest hears. A talented teenage gymnast committed after becoming concerned she would be branded racist after taking a joke photo and sharing it with friends, an inquest heard. Phoebe Knope, 16, uploaded an edited picture of herself where her skin tone had been darkened and she was wearing a scarf wrapped around her head to a private Instagram message, which she shared with friends. Miss Knope, who had been speaking regularly to an Asian male, told the group it was what she had to look like to get approval from her boyfriend's parents. The image was shared beyond the private group, and Miss Knope feared that there would be a backlash, the inquest heard. She died on July 7th after committing at her family home. The whole article is linked in the description. But the point is clear. These kids, these are minors we're talking about. These are teenagers. Do you remember how emotionally unstable you were when you were a teenager? Do you remember that? Do you remember being anxious? Do you remember how it was like to be a teenager? I, for one, was quite anxious, and I was suicidal as well for about 3 years. So do you think that it's okay for a public figure to target teenagers and send them hate and death threats when they're teenagers. These are teenagers we're talking about. These are minors. Do you think that is okay? I don't care. I do not care what Phoebe did there. She could have even done a full-on blackface. And I don't care. She didn't deserve to die. She did not deserve to die. She was just 16 years old. She was just 16. And in her case, the backlash that she feared was the fear from the community and not actually online harassment. Can you imagine how worse it could be for a teenager to receive hate and harassment from a public figure which has over 500,000 followers on Twitter, who is also a Disney star? Can you imagine that? It's not okay to just blast these teenagers on your platform of over 500,000 people. It's just not okay. Okay, I probably should address the next argument as well. But Jean, we do need to hold these kids accountable, right? You said that yourself. So getting the parents and the school involved might actually be a good thing and might actually help these kids shed their racism, because we do need to address their racism in some way. And to that, I have 2 points. First of all, Sky could have gotten the school involved without actually doxing these kids and without actually sending a hate mob after them. She could have done that very easily. All she had to do was blur out certain information and just tweet that, hey, this particular school, someone in your school did a blackface, or like maybe she could even attach some screenshots of this person being racist and just blur out the private information. And because she's a public figure, the school would have the pressure to actually respond, and therefore the teachers can then hold the kids privately accountable. No need for doxing. No need for doxing. She could have done that very easily. But the point is, it was possible for Sky to do this without actually sending hate towards these minors and essentially ruining their future, because these kids are not public figures. And the second point I want to make here is this. If you're saying that it's good that Sky is getting these high schools involved so that they could actually look into this, well, take a look at her Twitter. A lot of times, what she is doing is she's just exposing these kids' Twitter accounts, Instagram accounts, and Snapchat. That's all that she's doing. A lot of times she's just doing that. She's not getting the high school involved. And I ask you, how is that supposed to help exactly? So you're not revealing the high school's name so that there's no officials that could get involved, but you are revealing their Twitter accounts, their Snapchat accounts, and their Instagram accounts. So what am I supposed to get from that? How is that supposed to help? And take a look at this tweet. Don't be a shy racist. Unprivate your Instagram account. Does this sound like the behavior of a concerned person who just wants the best for these kids and wants these kids to shed their racism and become a better person, and wants the parents and the teachers to get involved so that these kids might recognize that what they're doing is wrong? Or does this sound like the behavior of a person who has cultivated an audience around her, who just wants her to give them a piece of meat and throw it into the crowd? What does this sound like? I say it's the latter, not the former. I don't think these actions are coming from a place of concern. I don't think so. This is just about hate and harassment. And hate and harassment doesn't actually change people's minds. And it actually makes it more likely for these kids to move even further towards the right. It's all about sending hate towards these minors. And she has attracted an audience which very much appreciates it. How lovely. Now, let's talk about this because I don't want you guys to be left hanging here. What these kids are doing is wrong. Doing blackface is wrong. I think all of us would agree with that. And we do need to hold these kids accountable. So the question is, how can we hold these kids accountable? How do we do that? That's a really good question. And my answer to that question is this. We should hold the people publicly accountable who can then hold the kids privately accountable. Let me give you guys an example. We should hold the school publicly accountable for the behaviors of the kid so that the teachers who are working at the school can then hold the kids privately accountable. Does that make sense? And if Sky wants to, she can do this. She can do this very well, I think, without actually sending hate towards these minors. All she would need to do is blur out all the identifying information about the kid and then tweet out and say that, hey, this particular high school, this is something that's happening in your high school. You need to look into this. And maybe she can send the information to the school officials, and because she's a public figure, the school would need to respond to that, and there would be a pressure for the school to actually hold the kids accountable. And therefore, the teachers can then hold the kids accountable. There's no need for doxing right there. And I think that is enough. That is enough. And if you think that that is not enough, all I have to say is that, well, you've never been to a parent-teacher meeting before, have you? Those things are awkward as hell. I imagine it must be very awkward to be held responsible for something that your kid did and just sit there and listen to it, and to bring racism into that discussion, and for the parents to be held accountable for their kids' racism. Yeah, I think that's enough. I think that is enough accountability there, because I don't think that this public shaming is gonna do anything. It's not. But holding the school publicly accountable and then the teachers holding the kids privately accountable might actually change the kid's mind. And how do I know that? Just take a look at this. I found this interesting article in BuzzFeed. It was written in 2017, I believe, and it talks about a school which had a racism problem. And let me read it out to you guys. Brett Emmons, a middle school professor in Hood River, Oregon, sees reason for optimism after dozens of his students chanted, "Build that wall," at a school event in October. Emmons addressed the incident in a letter to all students, discussed it at an assembly, ordered a school-wide writing assignment about it, and organized a festival on the campus that showcased games and food from around the world. He said that he has not heard about racist bullying at his school since. Echoing administrators at other schools, Emmons plans to address future incidents on a case-by-case basis. "I feel like things are pretty much settled in our community," said Emmons. "We felt compelled to take some pretty dramatic steps." Which is, it's a good thing. Like, they were the people who are supposed to be held accountable for these kids, and they did their job. Wow, that's good. That's good. They saw that there was a problem, and then they fixed it. That is how you hold kids accountable. Not by doxing kids and revealing their identities online or sending a hate mob after them, but by holding the kids' parents, teachers, and school publicly accountable, because those are the people who can change the kids' behavior. That is how you make change. Not by holding the kids publicly accountable, but by holding the parents accountable, by holding the teachers accountable, by holding the school publicly accountable. And if Sky wants to, she can do this. She can do this pretty effectively, I think. All she would need to do is stop doxing minors and sending hate towards them. But right now, by revealing their identities online and revealing their Twitter and Instagram pages on her Twitter, all she's doing is she's sending hate towards these kids and potentially leaving a permanent scar on their resume. And I hate this. I hate this so much that the internet doesn't seem to recognize this at this point. Because I remember that incident of that kid who had the MAGA hat on, and there were these Native American marchers. I think the high school was Covington High School, I believe. And whatever you think about the incident, the fact is, that kid went on the fucking Today Show. Like, what? And nobody fucking asked, where the fuck are his parents? Where the fuck are the chaperones? No, nobody asked that. But, oh yeah, we're gonna let this minor go on the fucking Today Show. Whenever something like this happens, whenever a kid, a minor, is exposed for being racist or something along those lines, the first question that we need to ask is, where the fuck are his parents? Where the fuck are his teachers? Because those are the people we need to be holding accountable publicly, not the kid. And we should not let minors go on the fucking Today Show. That was the craziest part about the whole story, by the way. Okay, I think that's enough. I have talked about everything that I wanted to talk about. There's one other thing that I wanted to talk about. This is unrelated, but Shannon, Creepshow Art, actually gave me a shout out in her video, and she did that. She did that. She gave me a shout out, a random person on the internet, a shout out in one of her videos. That is a thing that happened. Like, I don't know how to respond to that, honestly. I think I'm at around 2,200 subs at the moment. Like I just gained like 700 subs from her shout out. Like that's crazy. That is crazy. Anyways, I think I've rambled on enough now. Like this video if you liked it. Comment your thoughts down below about what you think. I would be really interested in the comments for this video. Subscribe for more videos. And yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful day today. And please do not touch your face. And if you're gonna go out and protest, stay safe.